How's everyone doing? Hey, it is Dan with Rim Right. Hey, we are going to do a quick little video. Well, it may not be quick. I can ramble on a little bit. But hey, this is a top 10 tips I have for new powder coaters. And the reason I'm getting into this is because I've seen so many videos out there with guys who are kind of on build channels. They're building something, so they buy a hobby gun and they powder coat something, and they're giving you all these tips. And I've watched so many of them, and I'm like, nope, don't do that. Nope, don't do that. So I just want to do a quick video with 10 tips I have for people just starting or just getting into powder coating. And this could be whether you're using an Eastwood gun, Arbor Freight gun, or a Spectra Coat, Columbia coating gun, or anything like that, those entry-level guns. So number one is talking about amperage. If you have a gun that you can control that amperage, like on Eastwood gun, there's a 1 setting and a 2 setting. The 2 setting is your high setting. Go ahead and powder coat with that as much as you can. If you're doing a second coat, knock it down. So basically you're taking those high charging particle systems and you're going to knock it down so that there's less Faraday, there's less back ionization, all that kind of thing. So we just upgraded our personal gun, which is a Gema. And it does this automatically for us. So it's controlling the amperage automatically. Now, a lot of people say knock your KV down, which is not right. We've done a lot of testing with this after we had talked to a representative from GEMA, and what they do is they keep their KVs as high as possible because that's what's giving your particle the transfer efficiency to get onto the part and not fall on the floor. The microamps is what kind of amps it up and gets it all crazy and staticky, I guess. And when it goes into those parts, it wants to bounce around and come back out. So they recommend turning those down and not the KV. But for a lot of people, they've heard KV, 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 and that's what they're preaching still today. Give it a try. If you can control the microamps, leave your KV alone, knock your microamps down, and give that a try. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. If it worked, you owe us a thumbs up. The next one is prep. Prep is everything. So most people who have ever painted anything or powder coated anything or refinished anything, stained anything, prep is everything. So as long as you're getting the part completely clean, you're not going to have any issues. And what we recommend, if you're able to, is to sandblast, then outgas, and then blow it off with air while it's hot, let it cool down, and coat it. What this does is it bakes all the contaminants, oils, grease, whatever, off the surface, out of the pores and aluminum, and then allows you to coat a clean wheel. There are some people that will blast, outgas, and blast again. My worry with that is that when you're blasting that dirty part, the dirt, grime, grease, whatever, is getting on your media and then being blasted right back onto it. If you have a one-use blaster, like you're outside sandblasting, that's probably fine. But for a reclaimed system, you don't want to do this. So I don't think you need to get rags and wipe them down with acetone, especially if you're starting with a new part. Just sandblast it, put it in the oven, let it bake off, bring it out, let it cool down, and then coat it. We do this with everything, aluminum, steel, everything. Number 3 is the bake time. So many people say, put your part in, let it get to put your oven at 450, put your part in, once it flows out, knock it down to 400, wait 20 minutes, pull it. This is not accurate information, people. What the tech sheet will tell you is how long that part needs to cook at a certain temperature. This isn't the powder, this is a part. So it's not once the powder flows, it's when your part gets to the specified temperature, say 400 degrees, then you can cook it for 10 minutes. So the best way to judge this is to get yourself a good temperature gun. We use a DeWalt gun. It's very good. You can control the EMS, which is the reflectability of the part. You can set it for steel, aluminum, copper, all sorts of things. So usually I have that in the links below, so check that out. But always go by the manufacturer specs. Some powders you only do at 385, some 400, some 410. I mean, they're all different, so you got to ask for those tech sheets. Number 4 would be to control your air. And as a lot of you know, if you've seen my videos, people comment on my air, and yes, that's a problem I have on my own, but I know I need to do it. So on your Eastwood gun or Arbor Freight gun, you control it you should have a regulator on it from your line regulator gun. When you pull the trigger, you can do this without powder, you need to adjust that down. You shouldn't be running much for PSI at all. The less you can get by with, actually, the better. So I think usually 3 to 5 pounds or PSI will get you through, but you need to play with it. So at the last step, put your powder on, pull that trigger, adjust your pressure. You don't want it to be blowing out a ton of air, knocking the powder off the part that got on it and blowing other powder right past it. So be careful with that. Watch my videos, you'll see what I'm saying. I usually shoot a ton. We just got a new gun, which is going to take care of that. I used to have to go and turn a bunch of dials and get it all dialed in for every powder. Hopefully with this new gun, it's a little more automated, but that's just something you're going to have to do. The next tip, number 5, would be your ground. So a lot of the professionals, we're taking 8-foot copper rods, we're drilling a hole through our ground, and we're jamming that thing down, hitting it with a hammer, knocking it down. We attach as thick as you can get electrical wire to it, and then we attach that either to our cart, which is holding our part, or we attach it to the part itself. Now, if you have a clamp on your part and you're powder coating it, pull that off at the end, dust it, you'll cover up the clamp area, no issue. But that is very important. You can get by with some really bad guns if you have a good ground. Even if you can do it outside your building as close as possible to where you're spraying, and then pull that line in. Ours is in our booth, like literally in our booth. That you want it as close to the part as possible. Number 6, complex items. So when you're shooting something that's really hard, has tight corners or recessed areas, always shoot those tough areas first. If you have to, and I know you're going to have to with these lower level guns, heat it up a little bit, no more than 200. Do not put it in, get it to 400, pull it out and spray it, because you're going to build up way too much powder. It's going to run. You're going to have way too many mils. You're not going to be happy. So always 200 or less, 185 if you can get by with it. Spray those hard areas first, work your way out to the easy areas. Which brings us to hot flocking. Number 7, should you do it? Now, if you ask a professional who has a nice gun, you'll never need to hot flock. Now, you're shooting with an Eastwood gun, you're probably going to have to get that part a little warm. It's just, unfortunately, it's part of it. But ground will help prevent it a lot. Knowing how to shoot will help it a lot. Airflow will help it a lot, but yes, there are some times you will need to get the part a little bit hot. But again, I never recommend 400 degrees. Try and stay 200 or less. 185 is better. Number 8, do you need primer? So with us in our shop, we don't do a lot of primer. We do it if the casting is bad on aluminum. We do it if the customer requests it. We do it if the part's going to see a lot of outdoor abuse, which primer gives you more corrosion resistance, and we always do it on steel. If it's not aluminum, we're most likely, unless you request it as a customer, we're going to put primer on it because it gives you that extra corrosion resistance. So we're not going to get into epoxy, zinc, red oxide, any of that kind of stuff. We're just going to tell you those basics. At this point, we may do a whole nother video on that. Equipment needs. So to get started, Eastwood actually has a package where you can get a gun, oven, air, and it's not too bad. Those are your basic needs, obviously, to powder with powder. So you need your air supply, an air compressor, you need your oven, you need your powder coating gun, and you need your powder. Obviously, you're gonna have a part. If that part is brand new, prepped, ready to go, great. Just spray it, put it in your oven, you're good to go. If you need to strip it, you're gonna need like an aircraft stripper, an aerosol, and then scrape it off, clean it up, and then spray it, or you may need a sandblaster. And that's what I recommend. It's the easiest, cleanest way to do it. If you can afford a sandblaster or afford to take it to someone like me, I do it for people all the time. We'll sandblast parts and they're gonna take them home and powder coat them. We don't care, you know, we're just helping you out. So find someone who sandblasts. It takes so much work out of it. Make sure that they aren't touching it with their hands afterwards. We would have big things sandblasted, they come back with fingerprints on them. Your powder will not stick to that, I promise. It's going to lift wherever that fingerprint is. So just make sure the part is clean, outgassed, and all that. Number 10, where to buy powder. So when you're new, the best number one place to go is prismaticpowders.com. I buy tons of powder from there still. They have custom colors, they have illusions, they have candies, clear coats with metallics. I mean, they have an array, and it's quality powder. They are by far, for a small person, the best place to go. Columbia Coatings, which is actually where we bought our booth from, because we're professional, but we're entry level professional, if you know what I mean. So they have reasonable prices for someone my size. They're still really expensive for the home guy, but Columbia Powder, they have reasonable prices. You can buy in small quantities. Check them out. Or Powder by the Pound, we buy a lot of stuff from them, and I think it's powderbythepound.com, or Google it, I'm not sure, but that's where those three places are where I would go. So hopefully these 10 tips helped you guys out just a little bit. I know I could have used them. There's so much information out there on powder coating and how to do it, and this is, to my knowledge, the best information I have at this time. We've done a ton of classes. I have a ton of powder coating manuals and stuff like that, and you know, we are trying to be one of the most professional places in the state of Iowa. We don't do junk work. You're not going to bring your part here and it's going to come out like junk. We won't let it go if it's junk. So we are always trying to learn more. So we're happy when people comment and help us out, like with our powder issue as far as how much we're spraying out. We don't take offense to that, really. We don't. We know it's happening, but at the same time, we need that kick in the butt to make sure we're doing it right. So I hope you guys got some out of this. If you did, give me that thumbs up. Show me that you're here. If you have a comment or a question, leave it below. We're happy to help. We're happy to answer. We try and reply to everyone unless you're being inappropriate. And as always, make sure to subscribe. We're at this time, I think, 169. And I've had so many people private message me and be like, why don't you have thousands of subscribers? I don't know. I assume YouTube is fighting us. I don't know. But we hope to blow it up, and we hope we can keep helping you guys. So we will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.